You guys, you won't believe who I have here. I have Marley Rose, and she is all the way here from where?
South Africa.
I am so happy that you made it. Can you tell the fine people what it took for you to get here?
Okay, so I'm not South African. I'm actually Canadian. But I was just telling Kim, I was like, I had to go on this entire adventure. It was 2 days. Like, it was all of Monday and all of yesterday, Tuesday. So I left Friday. So last Friday, I left Cape Town. I flew to Namibia for the weekend. I spent the weekend in Namibia with my boyfriend.
Wait. Tell the people, where is Namibia?
Okay, so the continent of Africa, at the very bottom is South Africa, obviously, and then to the left is Namibia. So it's just a 2-hour flight, super easy, but it's gorgeous. Like, after this, like, look up Namibia on like TikTok, like, it's insane. So we were there for a couple of days, gorgeous. Then on Monday I flew from Namibia to Ethiopia to Cairo to London to LA. Like, when I landed yesterday, my ankles were like swollen to the gods, and I like need to like ice roll my entire face. But like, I don't know why, but I'm not jet lagged. Like, the LA energy just like puts a different dimension inside of me. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
I would not look like you after you just did all of that. Like, I am exhausted just hearing what you just did.
I was like so exhausted, and I almost like cried going through security in London. I was like, I just like this. I don't like, as I get older, I'm just like, I want ease and comfort. Anyways, and then I land in London in LA last night, and I was like, gonna go right to my hotel and like go to bed. But the minute my like nose smelled the LA air, I was like, yes, I'm gonna go for a run. Like, I need to like I was like so excited to be here. So yeah, I'm very excited to be here.
So in LA, we call that pollution.
Yeah. No, I came in and I was like, this smog. I was like, whoa. But it just brings something. And I don't know. I love LA so much.
I'm so glad. And I love that you are right down the street from me, and we've already masterminded you coming back next year. So I'm glad that I'm indoctrinating you into the Malibu, Calabasas, Agora Hills scene. And it's fabulous. It's such a great, relaxing spot. It's so different than the city.
Yeah, I'm not like a city girl. So I like to dip my toes in the city. I like, get the hit and then I leave. Yes. But then I was like, I've only ever been to Malibu for like the day. So staying here last night, I was like, no, I'm obsessed with this. Like, because you get the LA energy, like that like hit, but then you get to be like, your nervous system is still calm, you know? I'm obsessed.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you made it. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about what you do in your background?
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to go back. So I'm from Canada, like I mentioned, and I grew up just hating winter, okay? I was going to school and I was just completely miserable. Like, it sounds so like superficial, but I'm a plant, okay? I need to be around the ocean. I need to be in the sunshine. That's when I'm my happiest. And so when I went to school, though, when I went to university, both of my parents were entrepreneurs, and I saw them really struggle, like this energy of there never being enough. There was never enough money. There was never enough time. So I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. Actually, this is the last thing I wanted to be. The idea of being an entrepreneur like gave me anxiety. I wanted a paycheck. I wanted consistency. I wanted benefits. And so when I went to university, I wanted to be a CEO. Like, I knew that's what I wanted to be, but I just never for myself, like never. And then I'm from a very small town. So when I would go home for summers, like all my friends would intern at like Deloitte or like everywhere. And I would be like, I'm going to work at a restaurant. Like, there was nothing else to do.
Wait, what is the name of the town? Let's give it a shout out.
It's Clarksburg, Ontario. It's actually a stop sign. Like, this is my town. And so like growing up, making $100,000 a year would be like, you're the richest person in the entire world. So I always, like, if I could make $100,000 a year, that would be like beyond insane. And so I always knew I didn't want to live in that town. Like, I always like dreamed of living in LA was the dream, like living abroad. And like, I just always would be in this small town, but just like daydreaming of leaving and like living anywhere else. And so anyways, long story short, basically when I graduated from university, I had the job offer. I had the benefits. I had the company car offered to me, and it was the strangest thing, but I was like, I don't want it. I don't want to be stuck in somewhere that I don't love. I want to have freedom. I want to be able to live anywhere in the world. I want to be able to work from my laptop. I want to be able to have the freedom to do whatever I want whenever I want. I interned like briefly for this marketing company, and I was like, no, I cannot work for anyone else. Like, it gave me like chills. And so when I was home in the summers, I do like marketing for the small businesses, just because I was like, I need experience on my resume to get a corporate job. Like, never. But then I started to love working for myself. And I'll never forget, like, the first website I designed for someone, they gave me $500 cash. And that might as well been like 5 million. I was like, making my own money. It was just like so exciting to me. And I never really like loved university. I never like thrived in it. I was just like good at studying, but that didn't bring any joy to my life. But to be able to like work for myself, like I would stay up until like 3 a.m. just like working, and I was like, whoa, I didn't know you could even feel this way. So graduating university, I decided not to go to the corporate route, and I tried my business, and I was like, I am just going to give this a wing. Like the corporate job will always be there, but I'm going to try going all in on my business so that I can move. The dream was to move to Australia, because I need to be near the beach. And it took me about a year and a half. Like I said, I had 3 other jobs at the time. I actually ended up working at my college running the entrepreneurship center, and then I worked on my business. So it was just working all the time. And after a year and a half, I got to go full time in my business, and I moved to Australia. So the thing is that before I moved to Australia, I was like living my best life. Like, I was like running my business, I was serving, I was making good money because I was serving. My business was like just taking off, but I was like obsessed with my business. And it was the year so this is like 2019, and that year I lost my father to suicide in January. And I never had done any healing in my life. Like, I started to get into meditation and podcasts, so I was like getting into that world, like writing a gratitude journal. But that moment was the moment that I decided, like, I'm not gonna let this break me. I was best friends with my dad. I never saw this coming. I never could have predicted this. And because I had this like hint of what it felt like to live in alignment, I was like, I had dreams for the first time. I had this feeling that I could do what I wanted. I had a feeling that like I could make my dreams happen. And with that visualization, I was like, I refuse to let this break me, and I am going to do everything I can to heal from this. And I just committed. I committed to therapy for the first time. I did therapy and like Reiki. And on my healing journey, I feel like I had my like spiritual awakening to say, where I started to heal, and not only heal from the trauma. I don't think I'll ever really fully heal from something like that, but I started to get happier. I started to lose a lot of weight that I was holding on to, a lot of inflammation. I started to feel better. I started to have more energy, and I started to heal for the first time. And what ended up happening is that, you know, fast forward, I did end up moving to Australia, and on that journey, I know, and this is like a very much a highlight reel, and I'm shortening everything because it's like when I moved to Australia, not all the pain went away. It was like Christmas Day, I'd be sitting at the beach, I was like bawling my eyes out. But then things started to slowly change, and I started to get happier, and things started to change, and a lot of people were asking me like, Marley, like, how are you working from anywhere in the world? Like, I started earning more a month than that corporate job offered me for the whole year. And I was just like, well, all these things that I was applying to heal, I was like obsessed with the subconscious mind. I still am, and I know we're going to talk about that a lot today. But I started to apply those tools to money and to my business and to feeling good. And my business took off. And I just thought everyone knew this. Like, I thought that like, oh, if you're running a business, obviously you need to heal your money mindset. Like, you can't heal your money mindset if you want it successful. But like, it just was so obvious to me. But when I started talking to other people, they were like, we don't know any of this. So I had a lot of imposter syndrome, and I was really scared to do it. But like, what I really wanted to do was like teach people about like money, mindset, and manifestation in a business, because like being able to do what I love to do every day, and to have freedom, to have time freedom to do what I want, like to fly to LA for a week just because I can, like, that was always my dream. And I feel like I almost healed and became confident and started loving myself and loving my body and loving like being who I was meant to be by following my purpose and building that business. So now fast forward, like what I teach people is how to create a business out of your sole purpose, what we were talking about a little bit earlier, what you are meant here on this planet to do, how to make an income doing that, and then have this life of time, location, financial freedom. Because at the end of the day, life is way too short to suffer, to do something that you hate. I know so many people, and I send like they're in a job that they just hate, and they're clocking in and clocking out, hating their job. I'm like, that's not what we're here for. We're not here to like be miserable. We're here to like love life. And I feel everyone knows that little part inside of them, what they're meant to do or what they would really want to do, but they're so scared to do it. And I know how scary that is. And I'm like literally in that transition again right now, is like, you know what you want to do, but it's so scary to make that leap. But if I can provide any like insight or inspiration or like support in getting people to their biggest, most aligned selves, they will be the happiest they've ever been. They'll earn the most amount of money. They'll glow a different type of way. They'll attract their soulmate. Everything comes from being in alignment. And so I feel like that's what I'm here on this planet to do, is to help people heal so that they can, first off, not do what my dad did. That was my biggest thing. But also truly live a life of enjoyment and freedom, because that's the best. Like, I know what it feels like to suffer every day. I know what it feels like to be anxious, depressed, to hold on to, like, I lost 20 pounds. I went from like $3,000 in debt to building a 7-figure business. And it's like, I just share that because if I can do it, so can you. I didn't come from money. I don't come from anything that like, I'm not, it didn't just like happen by sake. It happened through the tools that I now teach people how to do. So that's a little bit about me and how we're here today.
Yeah. Well, I'm very inspired, and I think you hit so many different concepts. I guess my question for you is, if there is somebody out there that either lost somebody, like a loved one like you did, or is just in a feeling of like being stuck in a job, as you mentioned, that they hate, or whatever area of their life they're kind of feeling stuck, and they're kind of even afraid to think about making a change, like, how can someone start either visualizing or take a very first step in the right direction, just to like start moving somewhere outside of that pain or grief or depression or unhappiness?
This is such a good question. I actually was on a coaching call with a client today before this call, and I'm going to use her as an example. So she has a business and it does really well, but she hates it. And she really wants to be like a singer. She wants to pursue a career in music, but that scares her the most. Like, to be able to let go of this comfortable job that's paying really well to go into that. But I really believe like that's going to be her biggest breakthrough to happiness, joy, abundance, freedom, is the things that scare us the most, right? But it's like, where do you start? So what I say is like, it's really just one step at a time. And there's this saying like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So I'm not saying, someone might be listening to this and be like, oh my gosh, do I have to like quit my job? Do I have to do? No, please don't. That's going to put your nervous system into overdrive. But I think firstly, you need to think of where you want to go. So if you need to want to change. If you don't want to change, I can't force you to change. No one's going to force you to change. You have to want to change. You have to want to have that better life. You have to want to not suffer. You want to be happy. If you have that want, I can help you. But I can't force someone to want this life, want freedom, want stability, want happiness. So once you have the want, that's step one. Step two is, so you have the want and the desire, then it's about taking baby steps to get there. So for example, with my client, it's like, okay, how about you start committing every single day or whatever feels good, is like posting singing content on TikTok. And when you start to take action in the direction that you want to go, things will unfold. And when you start to take action in alignment, you get alignment. So whatever you put out into the world, you get back. So if every day you're showing up and you're working in this business that you don't want to work and you're wondering why you're still there, well, that's why you're still there. Because every day you're putting your energy into that. So what you put energy into, you get back. So if you stop putting all of your eggs in that one basket and you start putting like 2 in them a day and then putting the rest into what you actually want to do, then you'll start to notice that your life will change. And whatever you commit to, you will get more of. So it's really about deciding. And like, there's so much power in deciding. Like, like, you have decided that this is going to be successful. I've decided this is going to be successful. And when you commit to that, it's like nothing else really matters. It's just about figuring out the way there. So I really think it's about deciding, and then taking baby actions to get there. And I really believe that we co-create with the universe. So I don't think you're doing this all alone. Like, when I make a decision to do something, it's insane. Like, the synchronicities, the people that you meet, the things that come up, and you're like this can't be a coincidence. It's not, because you're supported. You're supported by the universe. Whatever you want to call it, universe, God, higher source energy, whatever word you use, it's all the same thing. It's like you're supported by that energy, and allow yourself to be supported by that. Allow the synchronicities to happen. Allow the people to enter your life that will bring you to where you want to go. And then just like trust you're not alone. So for example, like, losing my father is like, okay, I decide that this would not break me. The next day I met a therapist. The next day like, things just started happening in my life where it's like, okay, when I decided, the path unfolds for you. And I really believe in that. If you don't believe it, then it won't happen. So if you don't believe that you're supported, then you're doing it all on your own, then you're doing it all on your own.
Yeah, and I think that's where the unpacking comes, and I think this is where you really get deep with your clients. Just from what I understand in your business is like sometimes it's overcoming our subconscious based on maybe the way we were raised. It sounds like we were raised similarly in the sense that we both kind of came from like a scarcity type mindset from our parents, and it's things that you have to overcome at such a deep level, and it's very difficult to even recognize that you need to go through those exercises that are causing you to either shy away or give up or just overall like not believe in yourself, because you have these deep-seated, deep-rooted beliefs that you have to overcome in order for you to really move forward. So can you speak about how you specifically get into like self-limiting beliefs, or where people get really stuck, or anything around the subconscious? What do you know? Tell us.
Yes. Okay. My favorite topic ever. Okay. So when I started studying like personal development, I think like, I read The Secret, and then I got into podcasts, and then I started, and then among all successful people, they would all talk about the subconscious mind. So I was like, I really like noticed patterns. And when everyone started talking, I was like, there's something here. So I started just becoming obsessed with the subconscious mind. And firstly, I was like mad. I was like, how are you not taught this in school? This is like getting a game and then just not getting the rule book of how to play the game. The rule book of life is your subconscious mind. So your subconscious mind controls 95% of your reality. So your conscious mind is 5%. So that's like us. I'm consciously aware that we're having a conversation right now. I'm consciously aware that my name is Marley. But subconscious is like long-term memories, beliefs. And once you have enough thought and feeling towards something, it becomes a belief. So if you're told when you're young that you're never going to make it, you don't come to earth believing that you're never going to make it. You're an empty sponge. And then you get taught. And then once you hear something over and over, you believe it. So a belief is a thought just repeated over and over. So between the ages of 0 and 7 is when your whole basically belief system gets instilled. But I've heard this, and I actually do believe it because I see it with my clients. I think everything actually happens between like 0 and 3. So when you're literally a baby, like can't speak, you are literally getting programmed your entire belief system. So if you're told or you see, a lot of the times it's not what you were told, it's what you see. And what you see, you take on as truth. So if you see your parents fighting about money, you think money is bad. Or then let's say you see your parents fighting about money, or let's say in a playground you're young and all the kids are making fun of the wealthy people, then you believe, okay, having money is bad. So then you're 35, you're an entrepreneur, and you're wondering why your business isn't working out, and you keep looking at your sales page, you keep looking at your funnels, but nothing is working. But then you work with someone like me and you address your subconscious beliefs, and it's like, okay, and we go back in your timeline and we realize, oh, when you were like 5, you heard your friends making fun of wealthy people. So then you never want to be wealthy because you never want to be made fun of. And then we clear that belief. And then like this literally happened to me with a client the other day. That's exactly what happened. We went back, cleared the belief on the call. on the call, while we were doing the call, she signed a like 3,000 pound client, monthly retainer. So like very good client. So when we got off the call, she already had a new client. So this is like pure evidence that when you clear the belief, your reality changes. So this is like a very good analogy. So think about your reality like watching a movie. This is a movie, okay? And your beliefs are like the tape that's in the projector. So whatever the tape is playing is being projected into your reality. So if you're trying to change your reality by changing, is like trying to change the movie by changing the projector. Like the movie isn't going to change. And that's like people trying to change your reality by changing their like thoughts. It's like you need to change your subconscious beliefs. It's like changing the tape, and then it will project a different reality. So when it comes to healing, when it comes to everything is a projection of our beliefs. So you act in accordance to what you believe to be true. So let's say you have an insecurity that your boyfriend thinks you're annoying, right? So then you will act in ways to prove that to be true. So like you will project your insecurity onto them by acting in a certain way so they can only respond in that way to prove you to be right. So the moment that you change the belief and create a new one of what you do want to believe, everyone around you will start acting different because you start acting different because you no longer tolerate what you did before, meaning you have different thoughts and that will get projected into your reality. It's a little bit like nuanced, but basically at the end of the day, I'm here to share with the world that like it's not, everything starts within you. And when you empower yourself to change, you are capable. Like, again, if I can go from where I was to where I am today, and I feel like I'm just getting started, and again, there's nothing special I didn't do. I wasn't lucky it's like, it's literally just me healing my subconscious mind has brought me everything in my life that I know. Even like, God bless them, but like my parents did not have a relationship that I would want to have manifested growing up. Mm-hmm. So I had to do so much healing on like relationships and what I desired. And now my partner is like beyond what I ever thought was possible. So it's like, it's everything. It's not just money. It's not just business. It's partnership. It's your body. It's literally everything.
Yes. So I, over COVID, started digging into the subconscious mind, and I found John Assaraf. Do you know who that is?
Did he write the book on the power of the subconscious mind, or am I thinking of someone else?
He may have because he's written multiple books on this.
Okay.
And I might even have it. If he wrote that, I might have that one. He was a part of The Secret.
You know, I would know the like face to the name, but the name isn't like.
Yes. So he is the one that talks about like writing down your goals and like drilling them into your subconscious mind.
Yes.
And I went through all these exercises, and that's how I uncovered. I think a lot of us have so many deep-seated beliefs that we push down that we don't even realize. So for example, I didn't realize, because I never let myself even dream to the level that I really should have been. Like, I didn't realize I wanted to have a podcast. And so that came out. I realized I wanted more kids. So I ended up doing IVF and ended up with baby London. A lot changed in my life just from starting to really hone in on my subconscious. Mm. And it was like my own self-guided tour, so to speak. And I'm very curious about how you help people identify where they have limiting beliefs. And you talk about clearing and like, what does that all entail?
Yeah.
What does it mean to clear it?
Yeah. Okay. So when I first uncovered the subconscious, I was like, what is in my subconscious mind? Because I was like, it scared me. I was like, oh. So basically, what is in your subconscious right now? Just take a screenshot of your reality. Take a screenshot of your relationship, your bank account, your career. This is what you believe is this is what your comfort zone is.
Yes.
Okay? You will only manifest what is comfortable. Your brain runs away from fear and runs towards safety. So even consciously, if you desire $10,000 a month, but you have a subconscious belief that having that is going to make you greedy, let's say, you will never manifest it, because it's a threat to your subconscious. Okay? I hope that's making sense. Like, anything that is a threat, your brain will do everything to not manifest it, okay? Even me being in a relationship, I had a subconscious disconnect that being in a relationship was a threat. So I always manifested like the weirdest people, okay? So how do we uncover a limiting belief? Basically, is there something in your life that you don't desire to be happening? Or is there a pattern that you want to get rid of? Is there something that you're noticing that you don't desire? So for example, like let's say I work a lot with like people who want to make more money. So it's like, Marley, I keep making this much amount of money every month. Why am I not making this amount of money? Or I had clients all the time. Now I don't have clients. I really desire my dream body, but why am I not? I keep getting this type of body. Like, what is your comfort zone in terms of what do you continue to manifest over and over and over that you don't desire? Okay, so that's how we become aware. That just shows me, okay, boop, 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 you have a limiting belief. You have something. I kind of like thinking about it like a computer system. We're computers, and there's been a little virus that has come into your computer program, and it's causing a glitch in the system. So it's not this like big mountain that we have to like overtake and like hike up and like clear. It's like this little thing. And once we get rid of it, it's gone forever. It's not going to be a problem anymore if we get to the root cause of what caused it. So to clear, there's many ways you can do it. So some of my favorite tools are hypnosis. My favorite tool is time technique. Literally journaling. You can clear it with language, so you just no longer say the thing. You can clear it with visualization. And a lot of this is working like one-to-one with professionals, also using rapid resolution therapy, EFT tapping. Like there's many different tools that you can use. That's actually why I started my app. I have the first subconscious reprogramming app in the App Store because there was no easy, accessible way to do it. But once you figure out how to do it, like on the airplane, I cleared 3 limiting beliefs while I was flying. I was like, boop, boop, because I'm so used to it now and I know the formula. And we can do one today. It's like, now I just know it's like so easy to do that it's like, I literally cleared 3 limiting beliefs on the airplane all about money. And when I landed, I signed a $15,000 client and also signed one in the air. So I had a $20,000 flight. And it's like insane to me, but it's like literally because I was like noticing something. I was like, something's happening with clients right now, and I was noticing there wasn't as much of a follow through. And then I got to the root cause of it, cleared it, and then had a $20,000 flight. So give me an example of a limiting belief or like a pattern or something that we can clear.
Okay, so for me, I came from parents that were like, you have to get your education. You know, once you have that, you have the keys to the kingdom, because then it opens up all these doors and like essentially pushing me into get a safe, secure job. Yes. And like work 1,000 million hours, and you know, that is your key to success. And so very much like a scarcity mindset kind of across the board, like, you know, nothing to excess, never wasting anything. Yes. We never took vacations. Like we were not poor. I don't want to overstate that. It's just there was never anything extra. Mm-hmm. And so I think this notion of like always having to be in a safe corporate job is a big one. And now I'm starting my own company, which we're only a couple months into, and it's hard. It's really hard. And I know kind of when I take a step back, like I know I have the skills and the knowledge to do this. And I also know that where I have like no skills or I need to build out skills, I know I have the work ethic and the resourcefulness to go after that. But it's still scary to be in a business and say, okay, well, I can sit here and spend money and hope and wish and pray that I get money back. But it's a dwindling, you know, you're investing in starting a company, and that's yes. very scary versus, oh, well, is this the right path? Because I could just turn around and get a very high paying job that's safe and secure and a sure thing. And like, it's a lot of me questioning, like, is this the right path? Should I be doing this versus, you know, doing the safe, secure job, basically?
Okay, yes. Okay, so one thing I will say, entrepreneurship is scary. Like, no, I could like literally do every limiting belief tactic on you, but at the end of the day, it's like, it will always be scary. So it's almost like building resiliency and trust within yourself that you're going to figure it out. So my question is like, okay, that like knowing that is like, what is the fear? Let's go to money because this is cool. So it's like when you're spending money, what is the fear? Is it the fear that money's not going to come back? Is it the fear that Do you get anxiety spending money? Like, what is the energy in which you're spending, investing in the business? Or does it feel fucking good?
No, it feels, well, it's yes to all of that, but I'll say, so it feels great that I can, for example, rent out my studio, but with that, it's this underlying belief of like, but am I ever really going to make this back? And should I continue to invest in this?
Yes.
Am I really going to make my money back? You know, and it's just this underlying belief that like, this is just going to fail and like it's a waste of money and at least I tried, and that kind of storyline.
Okay, yes. Okay, this is good. Okay, so with that, let's say you, okay, wait, I'm going to go this way. So there's a fear that the money doesn't come back.
Yes.
Okay. So with that fear is like, there's actually a hidden advantage to you believing that. Okay. So we only hold on to things because our brain thinks it's a good idea. So was there a time in your life, I'm putting you on the spot now, but like if you can consciously remember between the ages of 0 and like now, that you can consciously remember, actually no, let's do it this way. Okay. I want you to like close your eyes and bring up this fear that the money is not going to come back. Can you bring it up? Mm-hmm. Okay, now I want you just to trust your unconscious, okay? Just sit with this feeling and then go back, and I want you to ask yourself, when is the very first time that you felt this feeling?
We're going so far back.
I
don't even know where. I mean, I remember like in my teens and stuff feeling like we don't have enough money, like being aware of money, like early in my teens, like, oh, we don't have money to, you know, live the way that these people live or take this vacation.
Yeah. Okay, I want you to answer a question. Answer the question, what is the first number that you think of between 0 and 10?
Yes.
What's the number?
Probably like 9.
Okay. So the way that 9 just came to you is how I want you to answer this question again. So I don't want you to think about the answer logically of like, oh, this could make sense. I want you just, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you just, your brain to answer it immediately. Okay. Okay. So this feeling, bring up that feeling again of fearing the money not coming back. Okay. Now I want your subconscious to show you where's the very first time there was an event and a moment, the very first time that you felt this feeling.
Yeah. I think just like my mom's friends that might live in the nicer neighborhood.
Yeah. Okay, keep your eyes closed. Okay, so I'm there with you, okay? And we're observing the event. Mm-hmm. You see the event? Mm-hmm. We're not in it. I'm there with you, shoulder to shoulder, and we're looking at the event. Okay? Now, what I want to do is we're looking at the event, and so tell me what you're seeing.
Well, I'm seeing like my mom gets like hand-me-downs from her friend that is married to a doctor that lives in the nicer house. And she has all the clothes, and my mom gets the hand-me-downs, and we're going to pick up the clothes and try them on in the, you know, fancy house.
Okay. And just for the listeners, just notice that this doesn't really make logical sense. Like in the sense of like, it's not really correlated to the exact fear that Kim is feeling, but that doesn't matter. It's illogical. So this is perfect. Okay, perfect. So now what I want you to do is to come back into now, but keeping your eyes closed. And I want you to think of a recent memory that just made you laugh. Like, even when you bring it to mind, you're just like, it just like brings a smile to your face.
Well, kind of related to that. So I actually live in that neighborhood right now in the same exact floor plan model.
Yeah.
In a nicer house.
Okay.
And that makes me giggle because I'm like, this is crazy.
Yes. Okay. I love it. That's perfect. Okay. And I want you to think about a recent time that you were in nature that you were just like in awe. It was like nature, which is like so beautiful. It was like, wow. It almost like took over.
Yeah, we were in New Zealand.
New Zealand? Okay, beautiful. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then I want you to think of a recent memory where you just felt so loved, like in this like love bubble, and just felt like pure love.
Yeah, when my kids on Mother's Day, they're all 3 hugging me.
Oh, okay, gorgeous. Okay, so we're going to go back to that event, okay, with your mom. But we're observing the event, and we're seeing you in the event. We're just observing it, okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to tell young Kim, like, although she's going through this experience now, her future is guaranteed, okay? And when she goes through this experience on the other side of this, she has so much to look forward to. So I want you to show her actually that you guys freaking live in the same neighborhood, okay? And show her that. And as you do, see her facial expression change. And then I want you to show her when you were in New Zealand and the beautiful nature, and see her facial expression change, and let her know that her future is guaranteed. That on the other side of this moment, all that she has to look forward to. And then show her with your 3 children on Mother's Day and how beautiful and all the love that she gets to experience and how beautiful that is, okay? And just see her facial expression change, see her smiling, and see that all that she has to look forward to. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can come back.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, now try to bring up that feeling of fear again.
Am I supposed to talk about it?
Yeah, well, just try to bring it up. Try to bring up that feeling that I felt that you tried to feel at the beginning, and see how it feels different.
Yeah, I feel much stronger, like much more like unstoppable.
Yeah.
Feeling of like much more confident and like resilient. Like no matter what comes at me, like I'm like,
yeah, you got this.
Fearless. I got this.
Yeah. Cool, right?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That was powerful.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's subconscious healing.
Oh my God.
And like you're not going to be able to bring up that feeling of fear anymore. It's gone. It's forever gone.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It's so crazy because when I go back, like the memories of going to that house and to my mom's friend's house, and by the way, the friend could not be nicer and more lovely.
No, so sweet. Yeah, yeah.
I remember her big bathroom. I remember getting her samples. Like, I don't know if you remember the days where you'd get samples from like Nordstrom or whatever. And it's like, nowadays it's like, who's going to use that?
Yeah.
She'd have like 100 samples, or like maybe it felt like 100, it was 10.
Yeah.
That was probably more realistic.
Yeah.
But she would give me her like hand-me-down samples, and I felt like I was like rich and like
yes.
Just, and it's weird because I live in that neighborhood in her same floor plan, only like 3 streets away from where that all.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so chill.
So that was crazy to like have the full circle moment.
So she was showing you your future.
That's crazy. So for those of us that get stuck, they can just do those visualizations and bring that energy forward and pinpoint these deep-seated memories and face them head on.
Yes. So that's what, so you need a practitioner to do it with you. You can't do it on your own because, like, your conscious mind can't heal the subconscious mind. Your conscious mind, your subconscious mind speak completely different languages. So I can't personally, like, what I just did to you was what we just went through was like every word that I said was very important. Basically, what I just showed you on a very, like, if you want to get scientific on it, that moment in time, that event that you went to, that is the moment that you instilled the belief. And your brain thinks that's still happening. So it's still looking out for that fear, and that's why you still have that fear. So what I just did is I showed to your subconscious, it's done. It's in the past. It doesn't exist anymore, and your future is guaranteed. Meaning, look at this moment you had in the future. Like, it still thinks that it's happening right now. And so when I proved to your mind that it wasn't happening anymore, the belief literally just you had like, there's like a tunnel and there was like a stuck, and then it went. So it's like, that's why you can't feel it anymore. So with like things like with my app, it's like you can go in what we just did. There is a clearing for that in the app, and essentially it goes through, and every word that I say, everything is very intentional to get to the root cause, to clear it. But I'm speaking to your subconscious, not your conscious mind, so it doesn't have to make logical sense. And a lot of people do the clearings and they're like, I didn't understand, but I don't feel it that way anymore. I'm like, yeah, you don't understand. It's not going to make logical sense. Because if I were like to you, oh, why do you have that fear? You probably consciously could have been like, oh, well, but you couldn't actually have gotten to the root cause.
Yeah, and I feel like in that example, it was more of a scarcity and worthiness example that is really the true underlying belief.
Yes.
So it's not so much about the money not coming back per se. It's about like, other people live better and like they get the new clothes. We don't deserve that, like, because we can't afford that, even though we work super hard. And it's just this feeling of like not deserving, not being deserving of other realities.
And that's what you're bringing into your business. Right? Well,
Yes.
not anymore.
Not anymore. And I think that this is so, first of all, thank you. That was very emotional too.
No,
shockingly.
everyone.
Does everybody cry?
Yeah,
'Cause
everyone cries.
All of a sudden felt like I wanted to cry.
No, everyone cries. And I was like, I felt, because I know we're on air, I wanted you just to like fully cry. So, but it's emotions moving, right? So, like tears are energy in motion. So if you don't cry, I haven't really done my job that well, because I want you to move the energy. Sometimes I'll laugh, sometimes I'll cry. Like, it's like we're just moving. Literally, that shows to me that the energy is moved.
Now, okay, so this is really interesting, going back to your verbiage. So now I understand, because you would say clearing these beliefs. And I'm like, what does she mean by clearing? But now that I just experienced it, I kind of held back a lot of my crying, because, we're on camera.
Yeah, I could tell. I was like, oh, shame, I really want you to cry.
I was like, no, I was. I had
to
pull all of that back in. But by the way, I've cried multiple times on my podcast, so I could have just cried and no one would have cared. But anyway, it's a release.
It's a release.
It's a clearing.
Yes. Now you feel it.
That is crazy.
I know.
Okay, I want to go back on your app and get crazy. So what's the name of your app?
Okay, so it's called the Higher Self app. Higher self meaning that when you clear, I think I might have used this analogy sharing with you before, but a buoy like above water. Okay, imagine pulling it below water, right? That's what I feel like happens when trauma, limiting beliefs, things happen to people. They get weighed down. Okay, so everyone feels like they're sinking, like nothing's working out. They're depressed. They feel out of control with everything. And then when we start to remove those patterns, those programs, you naturally rise up. It's inevitable. So what I feel like I'm here to do is help guide everyone back to their higher self, their truest form, who they're here to be, and the amount of money that they're meant to have, the amount of freedom, the love that they're meant to feel, who they're meant to be. And that comes by clearing the gunk that we've been taught. So we just witnessed that for you, and you're naturally going to rise now from that.
I feel lighter.
Yes, everyone feels lighter.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. So the app allows you, just in the comfort of your home, you don't need to go anywhere, to actually start clearing these beliefs at a subconscious level. And this is how I've manifested everything in my life. And if you don't jive with the word manifest, it's like how I've attracted, how I've become who I am today. And yeah, it's the most affordable way to do so.
That is amazing. And how long are each of those segments?
Just 10 to 15 minutes. That's why I say you can clear a limiting belief that you've had for the last 35 years in 15 minutes.
That is
We just did it. Well, how long was that? 5 minutes. Yeah.
You know what it was? The reason why I cried was because, now I might cry again. It almost, when you get to go back and look at your who you were as a child, and speak to yourself and know that it's all okay, and really just give your younger self that validation. It's so beautiful. I was crying because it was beautiful.
Yes.
To be able to tell yourself it's okay, you're going to live this beautiful life, and it's magical.
And it's almost, I just got chills as you said that, and it's almost give yourself that now. The version of you who's here right now wondering if everything is going to be okay, everything's going to be okay. And it's going to be amazing as long as you are following alignment and purpose and doing what you're meant to be doing. It's I see you looking back even at this conversation, and you were so worried if everything was going to be okay. And now you're sitting on Forbes, getting interviewed for your network. It's everything is always going to be okay.
That is incredible. So let me ask you something. This also, what you just did, first of all, I have to say, Ed Milet, who is a business coach, if you haven't heard of him, he's
Are you kidding? I'm obsessed with Ed Milet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll be familiar with this, but I'll share it again just to state what we're talking about in a different way that I think is also incredible. He talks about being a 72 degreer, and essentially you are programmed subconsciously to be at a certain temperature.
Yes.
And as you rise, so in my example, as I make not just, the first $100,000, but then it gets to be, $300, $400, $500,000+, you are now heating up so far beyond what you think you are worth and what your comfort zone is. And so you tend to self-sabotage and bring yourself back down to your comfortable internal temperature.
Yes.
And I think I have hit that point where I have already far surpassed it. And I don't want to subconsciously sabotage my progress. And it's something I have to fight through every day to keep up leveling up. That's why I call this podcast Level Up.
Yes.
Is because it's like allowing ourselves to continuously, reach our highest and best version of ourselves on, across every, whether it's wellness, mental health, business, fitness, all different things, tennis.
Yeah. So I have a hot tip for that.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Okay, so that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, he's talking about subconscious mind. Like, it's all the same. And I talk about that all the time. So when things start getting hot.
Yes.
You have to make it normal and like kind of like blasé. So I said a $20,000 day. Who cares? Of course I did. It's like, oh, you start losing weight. You don't have to go, oh, I'm losing weight. This is amazing. Because that is like triggers to your nervous system threat. Okay. And then it doesn't want that threat. So it will self-sabotage and bring everything back to your comfort zone. But if you start losing the weight, earning the money, manifesting I had to do this a lot when I manifested my partner. I was like, this is too good. So I just had to be like, of course I manifested a person like this. Of course I make this amount of money, and normalize it so that it's like literally like you're frying eggs. So if you have that trigger, that fight or flight, that triggers to your nervous system threat, and then that's when you cool back down. But if it's never a threat, you never cool back down. And so you can continue to rise up, level up, because it's normal. Of course, we're here to experience everything. Like, life is so fucking good. And the more that it is normal, the more you won't cool back down. So you just reaffirm, like imagine a child coming to its mother and be like, oh my God, Mom, I just got 100% on my test. And it's like, of course you got 100% on your test. You're a freaking genius. That's how you should talk to yourself when you start succeeding.
I love that. You know what else helped me in addition to what you just said, which is such a helpful tool, by the way. So thank you for that. I also started, I think people talk about like weeding out the negative, either whether it's, consumption of negative content, negative people,
yes,
etc. But once you do that and you start to rise, I think adding people that are also playing at that level or higher
yes,
helps you to normalize it. So for example, joining a country club was something that I never in a million years could have ever dreamt of as a child.
Yeah.
When I decided I was worthy of that and then just went through the steps to apply, and we are now members, like I've now added other members and other people that have sold their businesses for multiple hundreds of millions of dollars. Many of my friends, and I mean many, not just one, not two, but I could pick out 5 to 10.
Yeah.
And that being around people that, of course, they're on a private jet. Of course, they're at a country club.
Yes.
Of course, they're in a mansion. And not that, by the way, it's not that it's has to be about money, but we're talking specifically about like a scarcity mindset around money. So that's why I'm bringing that up.
Yeah.
But it also transcends into like giving back. Like, of course I can donate my time and, work at the school. Before, I never saw a mom that worked at the school. She always was in a corporate job. So the fact that I get to be a part of my children's school. So whatever it is, I don't want to make the focus only money for people, because I don't want this to sound superficial, but whatever scarcity mindset you have around, like you're saying, it could be your weight, it could be around my tennis, it could be around any subject matter, but adding people that are playing like great tennis, right? Like we talked about adding joining a country club and then getting to play with people that play tennis or golf or whatever. The point is that when you surround yourself with people that are playing at that higher level, then it becomes much more like natural. Yes. And you've now up-leveled yourself in a way by adding those positive people around you.
Yes, I love that. That's such a good tip. And one that just came to mind as well is like, this is actually what my coach shares with me a lot. Is like, okay, so I desire to become a billionaire. Okay, so if I start making $100,000 a month, that's obviously I'm going to make $100,000 a month because that's on my way to becoming a billionaire, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, it also like, okay, that's like one level, and then it's like, okay, getting to the next level. But the way that becomes normal is because of course you're going to do that because that's on the way to your goal. So it's just inevitable that you're going to hit that. So when you start hitting your goals, it's like, well, yeah, duh, I'm hitting this because this is like on the way to getting to where I want to go. And also something that I do is like, I'll compare myself, not in a bad way, but to someone who's way further ahead of me. So let's say I have like a launch goal. I'm like, okay, I want to have this certain amount of launch. I'm like, this person just had a $5 million launch. If she can have a $5 million launch, like making your goal almost seem like small. Because when it feels small and easy, it's done. When it feels big and hard, it's big and hard. So make it small and easy. Make it feel that way. And you manifest. Because like if I was like, okay, can you manifest $1 today? You'd be like, yeah. And like it wouldn't be hard for you to manifest $1 because that feels small and easy. But if like, okay, manifest $5 million today, you'd be like, I don't know, but maybe you'd be like, ooh, I don't know how am I gonna do that? So it's like when you make the goal feel small and easy, it becomes small and easy, and then you manifest it faster.
Yeah, and I think along those lines, like I've been in a business before this where some people were making $400,000 to $500,000 a month, and they had the Rolls Royce or the whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I'm sharing that is because, and Ed Milet says this, is like if you can put yourself in situations, and this ties directly to like leveling up and adding these people, once you can see it in reality and see somebody else doing it, and if you can even get to the behind the scenes of somebody doing it in any way possible, whether it's through a mentor, whatever, in whatever capacity you can, I think when you see the $10 million house and you see people living in it, or you see somebody you know driving the Rolls Royce, or you see somebody you know in the private jet, whatever, or you see somebody running the multi six-figure, hundreds of millions of dollar business. When you get to actually see it in real life, not just on social media, I think it really helps you to visualize the reality of that and then apply it to yourself. Hopefully helps that visualization. Can you talk about the power of visualization?
Yeah. So your brain needs to see to believe. Okay. So this is a word of like, it's called expanders. So it expands your mind to what is possible. So I just had a client be like, this is the same client. She really wants to have a singing career, but she's like, I'm too old. She's literally 27. And she's like, I'm too old to have a singing career. And I was like, okay, in my mind, you're the perfect age to start a singing career. But anyways, our mind makes up things to keep us comfortable. Don't forget that. So that was her ego trying to keep her safe. And I was like, find someone who's your age and became famous at your age. And the minute your brain goes, oh, well, they did it, so I can do it, right? So it's finding people, situations, circumstances that prove your mind wrong. So I have a lot of expanders in my life. Like, for example, there's this woman named Melanie Enlair, and she does like similar to what I do. And she used to live in her car, and now she makes $20 million a year. And whenever I doubt if my dreams are going to come true, I look at her and I'm like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. So they're expanders, but they have to be like someone that you see yourself in. So I'm never going to compare myself to Kim Kardashian, okay? Because she stirred on a different echelon than I did. I don't see myself in Kim Kardashian, but Melanie Allaire, I do, because like she came from nothing and she's built this massive business. So like she shows me that if she can do it, I can do it.
She's also Canadian.
She is.
I know who you're talking about.
I love her. And so find people that prove to your mind that what you can do is possible, and it has to feel good. It can't feel like, oh, they're doing it, that means I can't do it. That's not an expander for you. It has to be like, they can do it, and if they can do it, I can do it. And that's very powerful. But the power of visualization, so your brain doesn't know the difference between positive and negative. So if I'm like, don't think about a cow, don't think about a cow, don't think about a cow, you're thinking about a cow. Even though I said don't, your brain just hears cow. Okay, that's why language is so important. Never say what you don't want, because you'll just get more of that. Like, I don't want more DEBT. I won't even say the word. People are so focused on what they don't want. I don't want this. I don't want that. And they're wondering why they're still getting it. And that's because they're focused on it. So speak in positive in terms of like what you do want. And so when you're visualizing, when you're closing your eyes and you're rehearsing using, it's called the law of assumption, like rehearsing in your mind what's going to happen, your brain thinks it's real. And something that I love doing is I love like connecting visualization to a goal. So for example, like when I was manifesting my first $100,000 month, I knew that when I hit that goal, I'm going to cheers my friend with a non-alcoholic glass of champagne, and it's going to be like the evidence that I hit that goal. And every morning I visualize that. And I did it. And then at the end of the month, she was over for dinner, and we both of us didn't drink, and we cheersed with a glass of wine. And I was like, I had like a That's So Raven moment, and I was like, and I was like, she's like, what? I'm like, I have been visualizing this the entire month, and it like happened, and it was the craziest thing. So never underestimate the power of visualization. I literally do it I'm not perfect, but I try to do it every morning of like visualizing my goals, visualizing what I want to see. I use vision boards. I use everything because I'm literally hacking my subconscious mind of like, this is what we're focused on. Focus on this. It's like, okay, when I came to LA, I needed to rent a car, and my boyfriend's like, rent a convertible Mini Cooper. It's like the cutest car. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Because I have a convertible back home, which I love, and I was like, okay, I'll get this. I don't even know. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. And then everywhere I looked, I saw Mini Coopers. Everywhere, and when I was like there, but the Mini Coopers were always there. It just wasn't important to my brain. But now it was important because I was going to rent one, so I was like looking for them. So that's how visualization works. Once it's important to your brain, so maybe it's the raise at work, maybe it, whatever it is, your brain will start to find evidence of that being your reality. So when you visualize, it kind of primes your brain of what to look for.
Yes. And I think that one of the biggest detriments that people have is they don't have boundaries around consumption, specifically of the news, social media, or even positive or negative feedback from family members or friends or bosses or whatever. And I think that we have to filter, we have to be really good. And I've gotten really good about what I let into my mind, essentially.
Yes.
And the reason why that's important is because if you are allowing negative information to really take up a lot of your free time, like for example, if you're driving to work and you're hearing the news and it's all bad news, I always call the news the bad news.
Yes.
I stopped listening to it when I was in my 20s, early 20s. I think that it starts to like almost poison our thoughts. And so people get caught up in these like cycles of negative thinking. And I don't believe in that. I try and really flood my brain with positivity. And like a family member might look at me and say, oh, your business isn't going to work. Like if you don't open your business and make money the first day, then it's going to fail. Like there's negative comments that come in. So what I do to offset that is, well, one, not talk to these people necessarily about my business, but also I'll put on Ed Milet. I'll put on your podcast. I'll put on Gary V and get into the like, okay, how do I break through, and so what it's doing is it's like rerouting all of my energy around the positive thinking. And that's what I think is something that is so easy to do. It's just be aware of what you're letting in to your mind.
Yes, the energy vampires, they're sneaky. They are freaking sneaky. But if you can do an energy audit, okay, what is draining my energy and what is giving me energy, and simply just get rid of I don't mean like lose friends, but maybe distance, set boundaries, get rid of the outflows and double on the inflows, your whole life will change.
Yes, that has been something that's so helpful. So every day, so as kind of just a couple key takeaways, it sounds like getting really clear about our subconscious and where our limiting beliefs, and then using your app as a very practical tool to just do the clearings.
Yeah,
so that's
easy.
Incredible. Another one on the subconscious that really helped me was I took the time to really get clear. Like I took buckets. So I called it my exceptional life plan, and I pulled up 5 buckets in my life that are important to me. So for example, I'm just giving different examples of ones. You could do education. For some people, it might be like religion or spirituality, giving back. That was one of mine. Family life. It could be like travel, or even the types of cars you have. So I took my top like 5 buckets.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, where do I want to be in my life across these different areas? And I got really quiet and I started to like really dream. And like for family, for example, I was like, oh, I have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. But like, I actually want a bigger family, I realized through that exercise. And like career, I realized I wanted a podcast. That came out of there. And so basically what I did was, once I figured out those like top 2 to 3 goals within each bucket, I recorded it on my voice notes, just on my iPhone.
Yeah.
And I played it 2 to 3 times a day.
Yes.
And this was I mean, so much came out of that exercise for me. The country club membership and playing tennis came from there.
Yeah.
A lot of different things came from that I didn't even really realize. Like, it wasn't in my conscious mind. It was deep in my subconscious.
Yeah.
So getting quiet and then drafting that and then recording it and listening to it over and over.
So powerful.
Was so great.
Yeah.
So I would say, and as I was listening to it, it's visualizing it too.
Yes. Feeling it,
visualizing it,
yeah.
and then finding people that could actually show me that. So I would say using the clearing is one thing. Maybe coming up with your own exceptional life plan is another.
Yeah.
Adding positive people.
Yes.
What else? What else can we be doing every day practically? What do we do when we hit,
No.
What do we do when we're doing all of this and then we hit a roadblock and we want to quit or we want to stop? How do we combat that negative thought?
I think, one, when you're doing your soul life purpose, quitting is just not an option. It's just like when I wasn't doing what I was meant to be doing on this planet, I wanted to quit all the time. Now I'm like, quitting is just not an option. So finding your soul purpose so that you don't want to quit. But then something that's really helped me is like, life is always happening. This is an Ed Milet thing. Life is always happening for you, not to you. And so when there's a roadblock, it's like, this isn't a roadblock. This is just a redirection, or it's just an opportunity for you to learn something. It's an opportunity for you to grow in a different way. Like, I don't think that anything, and honestly, on the other side of our biggest roadblocks, I think is our biggest breakthroughs. So really reframing these blocks or these stops or whatever it may be is like, what is this here to teach me? What is this here to show me? What can I learn from this so I don't continue to have this happen over and over? How can I pass this test? Like, level of a game so that I don't have to do this over every time. Like, think about a game. If you don't pass a level, you have to do the thing over and over and over and over until you learn the thing that gets you to the next level. That's life. So it's like, when these things come up, it's like, okay, what can I learn from this that will allow me to pass through it? And if you decide that you are committed to something, giving up is just not an option.
Yeah. You know what else? I feel like these conversations sound so like woo-woo, but what you're talking about is revealing the need for, like, for example, I was on a sales call and they had an objection about something related to business. Mm-hmm. And instead of getting super defensive and like just being like, oh, I don't like this person, mm-hmm. and like, oh, I should quit. Like, they're right. Like, this objection, they're right. What value does this bring, or whatever the subject matter was? It's like, I think sitting with it for a little bit. And I actually just heard Oprah, of all people, I heard a random podcast, and she was like, when you're not sure what to do nothing. And that's something yes. I do. When I'm not sure, sometimes it'll take me a week or a couple weeks or even a month to have a breakthrough and get that moment of clarity, to get yes. over that hump.
Yeah.
So like in this situation, it was like essentially an obstacle or an objection came. And I could have just been like, oh, he's right, I don't have any value, and then just like quit. Instead, I thought about it. I'm like, what is he saying? Why does he not see the value? Like, what specifically am I missing? There's a gap here. And I really, like, it was uncomfortable. The whole thing was very uncomfortable for me, but I was like, there's something behind this that I'm not seeing fully. And anyway, I think the point is that there might be a skill gap or an offering gap in my business. And instead of me running away from that reality, it's leaning into it harder and being like, this is my skill gap. So what do I do about it? And it's like, this is the part that I think makes the real difference. Once you've done all of this other work, it's the willingness to roll up your sleeves and put in the hard work to close that gap. So for me, it's learning a whole new skill. And I want to learn it myself and probably hire out other people, but I need to learn this skill before I can start hiring people around it to fill and do that job. And it takes time. Like it takes like I'm listening to a book on Audible to learn about it. Like, I'm rolling up my sleeves and putting in the real time and hard work and energy to move differently. And I think this is where people need to understand what we're talking about is not just like fluffy woo-woo stuff. It's real. Like it comes down to like you being willing to change and put in the effort. And then, like you're saying, the universe will meet you.
Yeah.
I always talk about my tennis as like a fun example because I feel like it's such a straightforward example of like me starting a skill from zero as an adult, and essentially everybody else around me, they've all been playing for 30 years. So I am behind. And everyone's like, you're so brave. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm willing to put in the hard work to like catch up. And really, I mean, it's been degrading. It's been a degrading experience. I mean, to lose matches, and it's like embarrassing sometimes. But I put aside my ego and I roll up my sleeves and I put in the hard work to get it done. And that's what I want to leave people with is like, this is not just talk about it, manifest, paint a picture and you're done. It's you have to really work towards things that you want. And when you do that, that's when, like you're saying, you have your breakthroughs.
Yes. And I also love a tennis analogy because I also just started last year. And I started from, like, I played when I was younger, but I was, like, new. And I would get so frustrated when he's like, okay, do this, do that, do that. And I just realized it's like, okay, if I want to improve, I have to listen to him because this guy knows that what he's talking about. And so after little adjustment, then I started getting better. A little bit better here, a little bit better there. And I was like, this is the best analogy for life because so many of us can have our ego in the way and we don't want to take the advice, we don't want to listen, and then we just get stuck where we are and we stay where we're at. But like the real change happens with those little tweaks from someone who either can see your blind spots, who has been doing what you want to be doing. When you can take on that advice and implement it, over time, over years, you're going to start getting your serves in, you're going to start hitting better, and you don't see it initially because it's little tweaks, but those little tweaks make massive changes in your life. And I felt that with tennis as well because it had been a while since I like started something new, you know, like everything else I was very comfortable with. Like I've been running a business for many years, everything I was like very comfortable, but this was like completely took me out of my comfort zone. And I loved it because I was like, wow, this is what it feels like now, like to start a business over. Like it just like, and that grew me so much. So now I'm like looking for opportunities like to get out of my comfort zone because that teaches you so much about yourself and grows you so much. And if you're willing to take the advice, it will change everything.
I agree. I think not enough people are willing to put aside their ego.
Yeah.
To be coachable and be a student.
Yes.
Like I feel like I've mastered a lot of skills on a lot of fronts. But I also, as I embark on new journeys, I'm also willing to immediately put aside my ego and become a student again. And that understanding when you should flex and when you can be in charge and be the leader because you're a master at something, and understanding when you are brand new and you are a student starting from zero and be coachable.
Yes.
That's probably one of, and I get this feedback all the time from my tennis instructor, that I really take in feedback and I really do try and apply that. Even like I said on that sales call, it didn't go well, and instead of me getting personally offended and bashing that person, I tried to take it as feedback, constructive feedback to improve, rather than getting defensive and then just shutting it down. So here's my last question for you. So I don't think enough women talk about leading teams and building teams, and I don't think women intuitively build teams very well, and we don't team with each other very well. I think that we tend to see others as like threats oftentimes, whereas I think men are much better at this. But you being a successful business person, I have worked with your assistant. Can you give us tips on how to build teams, and any leadership, tips that you might have for other women in business?
It's so interesting. So I'm learning a lot about like males and females. I'm really obsessed with like feminine, masculine, energetics. And the reason why this is because back in the caveman days, if men didn't go together, they died. Like when they'd go out to hunt, they'd have to come together in tribes and hunt together, or else they'd die. Whereas women back home, they were in competition for the male. And if they didn't get a male to protect and support them, they would die. So that's actually why. Isn't that so interesting? Like that now exists in corporate. So I think when I became aware of that and I realized like I can't do this all on my own, and allowing the help in, and like if I'm gonna be honest, like this is something that I'm constantly working on. Like running a team I'm not the greatest at it. Like I will admit that. I like small teams. It's literally me and my assistant, because I am not, my strong suit isn't running big teams, because I'm such an executor and such a I'm not a small, like like nitty gritty things drive me insane. I'm like, big vision, execute, let's do the big things. So like delegating small is very difficult for me. So it's something that I'm working on consciously. But what has helped me a lot is just acknowledging the fact that like I could not run my business without my assistant. She is everything. And learning from her what makes her happy. So is it like words of affirmation? Is it gifts? Like how can I make her feel appreciated so that she can show up the best in her job? And so as my business grows and as I grow, like I will start to again continue to bring on people that do things better than I can do them and admit that. Like where are my weak points? Where can I bring someone in and admit like, okay, you have this is not a me thing, like you are better at this, and then doing the best thing that I can to support them in that, making them feel acknowledged, making them feel encouraged. Like that's different for everyone. And it's just like being in a relationship. Like with my boyfriend, we have different love languages. His is physical touch, mine's words of affirmation. So it's like knowing what is the thing that make them tick so that they feel support in their job and they love their job. And I just know that when like being a leader, when people feel appreciated and people feel supported, they naturally will show up. And I don't need to like delegate or micromanage because they feel so supported. And it's like that with everything in life. Like even being in a relationship, it's like when your other person feels supported and loved by you, they want to give that to you. So it's like just making them feel like supportive, acknowledged, whatever, knowing that I will do anything for them to make them happy. I've just noticed that people naturally want to show up for me and in my business and seeing the big vision. So it's really about making people feel acknowledged, and then also just admitting where your blind spots are. And like I've had a team of 6 before. Great, but it like just wasn't my strong suit. Like I actually worked best very agile with a smaller team, and then if I need something else, I'll freelance or whatever that is. So it's like just also doing what's best for you. You don't have to, like I run a 7-figure business with 2 people. Like
that's insane.
It's like because that's what works for me. Like I don't have to have this big team because it just doesn't work for me. But eventually as my app grows and everything grows, I will. But like then I'm going to hire a CEO and they're going to delegate, you know, like I never want to be in the position where I'm delegating people because that is not my strong suit.
Wow. Well, I would like to apply.
Yeah. You're applied.
Well, anyway, I really adore you.
Thank you.
And I adore your assistant too.
Yeah.
And she helped find me and bring us together. So I'm very much looking forward to going on your app. Thank you so much for sharing all of your pain and honest journey and hard work and really taking that and transforming so many lives. Can you tell us about your podcast and where we can find you?
Yes, thank you. You've been an incredible host. That was so much fun. So you can find me everywhere at Marley Rose Harris. The podcast is the Money Mindset Manifestation Show, and then the app is just Hire Yourself on all the app stores.
Wow. Well, thank you again, and let's go hit the ball and play some tennis.
Yes.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.